From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Morning Line with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. Nick Barris with you live and direct on this Tuesday. It's good to have you here. And hey, you know what? It's been a while since we've actually talked on this program specifically about COVID, the pandemic, the vaccines, and all of that. And I think with good reason. Certainly things have gotten a lot better. We're not wearing masks in as nearly many places, and folks are not getting as sick as they were, and we're not seeing as many cases. It's all good news on that front. Though I think it's still a little early to say it's completely behind us, but I want to be optimistic, and I think things are looking very good. And yet there are a lot of questions folks still have. And that's one reason we're doing the show today. Everything from, second boosters, for folks over 50, it's available to them. Is it worth doing right now? Do you want to wait? About children, you see what's happening maybe right now in Shanghai, and you're thinking in China, okay, they're seeing a big spike in this city where things had been down. And it's like, well, could that happen again here? Other potential strains. We're just going to touch on that to get us all back up to speed, not because there's anything particularly significant new that's developed now, other than the fact that things are going well, but that so we know what's happening out there and what maybe to think about moving forward. And for that, of course, he was with us throughout the pandemic and is back with us today. I think he's terrific. Voice of calm, someone I learned a heck of a lot about from Meharry, Dr. Calvin Smith. It's good to have you with.
So glad to be back.
You're great. I mean, through a very tense time, it's almost surreal. As you come into the station here now, we're not wearing masks, we're able to share. But over a 2-year period, for a long time, I was the only person in the newsroom. Everyone else was working from home, but I came in along with some of our anchors and some of the behind-the-scenes staff. But that was it. And now it's almost getting back to the way it was in large degree. And I think back to how unsettling it was and how oftentimes you would come on or you'd join us by Zoom and you settled me down.
Well, it was a very surreal time. It was a very tense time. We went through all the emotions, the entire emotional spectrum. And, it's kind of weird getting, quote unquote, back to normal. In my real honest opinion, I don't think we're going to be back to where we were before, but I think hopefully we'll learn some lessons from that that we'll keep with us so that we are better prepared if and when something like this happens again. Yeah,
lessons learned. All right, so where we sit here now, just for folks that day to day notice things seem to be getting back to normal in a lot of ways. Are people still dying? What are the numbers like here in the Middle Tennessee region? How great a threat does it remain?
So people are still dying. That's the unfortunate part about it, is that as long as this is with us, it looks like it has the potential for lethality. So people are going to die. It sounds casual and cavalier to say it. It sounds weird even for me to say it that way. With that being said, we are learning more and more about how to control the transfer of it and everything like that with vaccines. And to your point about the second booster, I mean, if people are vigilant about remaining safe, I think that we'll see less and less death, less and less severity of the disease as time goes on. But as it stands right now, people still, our ICUs do still have COVID patients in them. People are still severely ill. People are still having to deal with the long-term aspects of long COVID. And so we're learning more and more. But, we still have some people from the first wave that don't have their taste and smell back.
I've heard that. I know a few people like that. That would be maddening. But with regard to those who do end up hospitalized or maybe dying now, is that primarily those who, one, are older and have already some severe health issues to begin with, or unvaccinated? How many are dying who are fully vaccinated and are generally healthy to begin with? So
as far as from the fully vaccinated, we are seeing maybe an increase in the amount of deaths as it pertains to as compared to last year, which is kind of concerning and probably expresses the need for an additional booster. But it's ever so slight. And so I think we're at a point right now where, if the same people who got the booster initially are more likely to get the booster again.
Because there are some folks who had the original vaccines that still haven't even gotten the first booster. And they figure they have the protection from it, or maybe they ended up getting COVID and felt, well, I had that booster and I still got COVID and recovered and I have extra antibodies. Is that a reasonable rationale?
It's a reasonable rationale, but I'll tell you, to be honest, Nick, the best thing to do would be to continue to get the boosters like you would do for the flu shot and things like that, simply because of the nature of how viruses work. We've seen this with COVID, you know, between Delta, Omicron, A2, and some of the things get weaker over time, but every now and again something will pop up and we'll get a super strain. Just predictably, I can tell you, like from how the flu works with swine flu, H1N1, things like that. So it probably is in everybody's best interest to come along and stay along with the vaccine schedule, just to be on the safe side. Again, the numbers are nowhere near where they were before, but you know, looking at the numbers on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis, I do see some kind of ebbs and flows. There's some predictive models that say that this summer might potentially have another outbreak, so to speak. Maybe not as severe. You know, again, the severity kind of wanes as time goes on. But you know, if it were me, just losing anybody around me is enough for me to want to protect myself and them.
Yeah, well, you're my TV doctor, so I want to ask you this. I mean, you and I are both similar in age, and I have had my vaccines. I had the first two, as we all did, and then I had my booster. Now, I am of age now where I qualify for that second booster. I assume I could go get it right now. By the way, I did what you suggested and Dr. Hildreth had said. I had Moderna the first two shots. My booster I got was Pfizer. Okay, I don't know, but I mean, you said, and I got Pfizer. I qualify now for the next booster. In fact, I probably qualified a month or two ago. I haven't gotten it yet, not out of apathy, but because I was thinking, well, maybe I'll wait a bit. So your take on this, should I, and I'm a healthy guy like you, what should I do right now? Or folks like me, I qualify for that second booster now. Okay, I've had 2 shots, first booster, second booster, I qualify. Should I get it now? Would your advice be to maybe wait into the summer?
My advice to you, Nick, if you want to have the summer of Nick, if you want to be out and about this summer, I would say go ahead and get the vaccine now.
Just go get it now.
Yeah, just go get it now.
I'm just thinking, what will that do? It just basically reinvigorates my immune system.
It does what it says, it boosts you.
Okay, but it's the same thing that I got before, right?
Same thing.
I'm going to get Moderna this time.
Same, and I would say, like, I mean, at this point, it's, you know, I haven't heard much about people getting the Johnson & Johnson, for instance, as far as boosters are concerned, and I can't really speak to the efficacy of it. But I'll say that, you know, at this point, with what we know now, either one would be fine. You have obtained both. You've obtained whatever the differences between the two are, which, you know, essentially were pretty negligible, but enough so that it provided a difference in terms of the studies. So that being said, at this point, if you've gotten both of the different companies' versions of the vaccine, either one would work.
So I'm going to go back, and where can we get those now? You said Meharry has shut down most of theirs. There's still the one on Murfreesboro Road, but I think most Walgreens have them now. And I think with this second booster, we have to pay for this one, I guess, right? Do you know how much they cost typically? I mean, it can vary. Insurance may cover. I'm just going to show up at the Walgreens, go in and say, and I don't even know if you need an appointment now. There's not enough people going in, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of foot traffic in terms of even like in our outpatient clinic, how we offer the vaccines any longer. So I would imagine that the cost would be something reasonable, like what you would pay
maybe
for.
A regular flu shot.
Yeah, exactly.
But so you're saying go get it. And again, let's be real clear with regard to vaccines and boosters. As you know, part of the battle all along was there were many people who still aren't vaccinated, who, knock on wood, I'm glad, are still with us and did not get sick and die. But the boosters and vaccines provide a protection. And truly, at this point, if they, as some people incorrectly said, will make you sick and worse and do horrible things to you, we would start maybe seeing some of that by now. I can tell you, I've had it all, and I feel fine. Now, who knows? Maybe someone will say, well, Nick, 10 years from now, you never know. You know, your head might fall off. I mean, just remind folks now, and what have we seen? Have we seen adverse reactions from flu shots? Or, I mean, rather, COVID shots?
The only kind of adverse reactions we've seen are the type of adverse reactions someone would see to one of the components of the vaccine. So we haven't seen anything specific to this particular vaccine.
Do we think years from now, because I've had these vaccines, I'm going to have some kind of bizarre reaction to it?
I tell you, Highly doubtful for a lot of reasons. The mRNA that they use is very safe. That's probably the biggest reason. There's not a lot of extra components to the shot. There's not a lot that you need to keep, like for instance, like a live attenuated virus to keep that alive. You know what I mean? So those extra components just aren't there. 10 years from now, who knows? I mean, you know, the way I look at it is if I'm happy and healthy in 10 years, I'm good. But, you know, I just don't see that happening. I've had my full series of vaccines from childhood, and haven't seen anything adverse from when we were using, to be quite honest with you, some components and things like that that we've come to find out might not have been as safe. And still, the vast majority of us are doing just fine. So I don't foresee that. I think that we always err on the side of safety. One of the things that really kind of got under my skin during the entire beginning process of this thing is that the kind of the assumption that doctors are in league with pharmacy companies to keep people sick or to try to make people sick. That goes against everything that I work for, and really everything that I'm passionate about. I don't want to see people sick. I want to protect people. And so, you know, I wouldn't endorse something that I don't feel that I would feel would be unsafe for people. So I feel very strongly about it. It's been proven, it works. We don't see polio. We don't see, you know, a lot of these major smallpox. We don't see these things anymore. And vaccines are the reason. There's no other reason.
And again, vaccine doesn't guarantee you will not get it. But the way I view it too, right, is if you do get it and you've been vaccinated, and I've had friends who've been vaccinated that got it, and they said when they got it, it knocked them on their butt. And they've all told me to a person that they fear what would have happened to them had they not been vaccinated, considering how bad it was they felt when they were vaccinated and still got it.
Well, I take the chance. I mean, you know, it just doesn't, if there's an opportunity to be less sick, to not be in the hospital, to not be on a ventilator, to not die, why take the chance?
Because people are misinformed. They get information off the internet. I've got an intelligent friend of mine I ran into at the YMCA, and you know, somehow it came up. She was asking, I said, I've been vaccinated. She goes, I'm not. Nick, don't you worry what'll happen to you down the road if maybe that vaccine's not right. And I go, look, I trust the doctors who give this to me. Don't you worry. And look, there's no question about what will happen to you if you get COVID. You're going to be sick as a dog. And as you said, I think if I got COVID, I would survive it. But I don't want any of that long haul crap. I mean, even, and it's maybe a more minor long haul symptom, not having taste and smell for a year at a time, that would devastate a chow hound like me. And I know other people that have other issues with long haul. I don't want any part of COVID. And I know what it'll do. And all these people are like, well, I don't know, I'm afraid of that vaccine. Fine, have at it, deal with it when you get it. It's not going to be pretty. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with some of your phone calls, more of our conversation on vaccines, especially too as they may apply to children as well. Right after this, stay with us.